War is studied through the lens of military action, but it is often the reaction to an event that can shape the fate of a battle. As Epictetus said, quote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Few recorded wartime events capture the intensity of the precise reaction in the heat of battle than the video of a Hezbollah fighter waiting until the very last second to evade an incoming guided missile. Recorded by the firing crew, the footage shows the dramatic moment a BGM-71 tube-launched, optically tracked, wire-guided missile is launched. The projectile then cruises the landscape while gaining considerable altitude. As the missile approaches its target, the cameraman zooms in on a Hezbollah truck parked in the middle of a village street. By now, the rocket is only a few seconds away from impact. The driver appears to know that the projectile is actively guided by the operator, who can correct the course of the warhead at any moment. With a steel resolve, he waits for the right moment to take action. Wire-guided missile. The BGM-71 is an American tube-launched, optically tracked, wire-guided anti-tank missile developed during the 1960s and massively deployed during the 70s. The TOW missile replaced smaller ones like the SS-10 and NTAC, offering roughly twice the range, a more potent warhead, and a vastly improved semi-automatic guidance system. Like other wire-guided systems dating back to the end of World War II, the BGM works by firing a missile that remains permanently connected to the launching system via a long set of specialized wires. As the rocket moves farther from its launching crew, the wire unfurls to maintain immediate communications between the operator and the missile. Notably, the operator can send electrical signals through the wire to shift the missile's direction immediately, allowing it to reach moving targets or even objectives hidden behind environmental obstacles. Wire-guided technology goes back to the 1940s, but the BGM-71 underwent several modifications to make it far more precise and lethal than its predecessors. The new design launched faster, more powerful missiles with a much more reliable guidance system, and was equipped with infrared cameras for nighttime operations. Despite being over 50 years old, the BGM-71 TOW is one of the most widely used anti-tank guided missiles today. And besides its shoulder-mounted form, the system has been adapted for a wide variety of land-based vehicles and helicopters. Formerly designed by Hughes Aircraft in the 1960s, the weapon is currently produced by Raytheon. It has been widely distributed by the US government, which has armed numerous allied factions with the BGM-71 tube-launched, optically tracked, wire-guided anti-tank missile to protect its interests. Turmoil in Syria. Many BGM-71 systems are currently used by US-backed factions in Syria, which have become a crucial asset in facing the al-Assad regime. What started as a series of peaceful uprisings against the president of Syria 11 years ago has devolved into one of the most complex and brutal conflicts in modern history. Like many countries in the region, Syria struggled with a financial crisis, high unemployment rates, rampant government corruption, and a lack of fundamental human rights in the early 2000s. Then, in March of 2011, citizens in the southern city of Dana began to protest, mimicking people from neighboring countries that were also objecting to similar adverse conditions. However, the Syrian government responded with absolute brutality and immediately crushed the demonstrations with lethal force. This led to massive indignation, with the people demanding the resignation of President Bashar al-Assad. The controversial figure refused to yield, and violence escalated. Soon, the protests spiraled into a full-blown civil war, and the country also became the grounds of a significant proxy war, as Russia and Iran began to give military and financial support to the Bashar al-Assad regime, while Turkey, Israel, and Saudi Arabia supported opposition factions. Hundreds of rebel groups were formed, with different political views and strategic objectives, and the confrontations became unpredictable and all-encompassing, with dozens of groups fighting the government forces and each other. The US, UK and France also supported several rebel factions, and the situation escalated when the insurgents became increasingly more radical and terrorist organizations such as the Islamic State and Al-Qaeda became involved. One of the significant Bashar al-Assad supporters has been the Lebanese Hezbollah faction, specifically its military arm, as it has helped the Syrian regime by lending weapons and training and sending thousands of fighters to Syria. The country has been ravaged by war. Over 500,000 people have lost their lives, and the conflict has been prolonged for over 11 years with no end in sight. Meanwhile, the battlefront has been deadlocked for 2 years, with no faction gaining any significant ground. Dodging a missile. "11 years of war have created exceptionally hardened fighters with a deep understanding of the tactics and weapons used on the battlefield. The incredible footage of a BGM-71 being launched at a Hezbollah truck shows the adaptability and fearlessness of many of the warriors in Syria. Although not a supersonic missile, the BGM-71 rocket can reach a speed of over 600 miles per hour, making it extremely difficult to react to. With the addition of an optically tracked, wire-guided system, escaping becomes even more implausible as the missile automatically seeks its target, and the operator can also steer it. Trying to evade a BGM-71 missile requires a series of precise and decisive calculations. First, the target would have to recognize the projectile as a guided missile and avoid the instinctive urge to move away from the spot upon realizing there's a rocket incoming, as this would lead to a swift change in direction, and the missile would find its objective. Second, the target would have to understand the rocket's and its vehicle's capabilities to even consider performing an evasive maneuver, instead of just abandoning the car and running away. Most importantly, the target would have to understand the essential guided functions of the missile, and how, despite being highly advanced and swift, the rocket needs time to react too. If the target moves at the very last second before impacting the missile, its operator would not be able to respond and correct course. As the footage shows, all such considerations were assessed in mere seconds by a Hezbollah truck driver when he realized the light in the distance was an incoming guided missile directed at him. The video is shot from the perspective of the firing crew, with the camera initially focusing on the projectile, which climbs toward the sky with no apparent target in sight. The missile's light becomes dim as it gains distance, and the camera zooms in and centers on a nearby village. At that moment, the target is finally seen: a silver pickup truck parked in the middle of a street. The missile then draws closer, and it looks like the impact is imminent. But just before the projectile reaches its target, the truck driver calmly accelerates by a couple of feet, and a split second later, the rocket passes by the car and detonates in a building right behind. The steel resolve and decisiveness to perform such a maneuver showcase the driver's outstanding environmental awareness and stoic demeanor. What happens to the truck and the driver next is unknown. Even so, the remarkable wartime deed remains shocking to witness. The rare footage capturing the moment is a unique glimpse of the incredible warfare antics that rarely reach the public eye. Thank you for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, don't hesitate to click on your screen and check out another of our Dark Documentaries channels, where we delve into the most fascinating battles. Also, hit the bell icon to be notified of our latest content, and stay tuned.